Hey guys, welcome in. James Phillips. It's the Coach Bailey Show. Coach Bailey, we're back for week 2.
Yes, sir.
And we're talking about a win.
That's right. That's right.
So let's get in, just go straight into Mars Hill. How about that game?
It was good, man. You know, that was a good way for us to start the season. Started it off on a high note with some positive momentum. Certainly a lot of things that we got to clean up. You know, a lot of getting better that we got to do. But to win a game against a good football team that Mars Hill is, you know, in a convincing fashion, you know, certainly pleased with the result that we got. But a lot of work we still got to do.
Well, what about you guys came out and really just took control from the beginning? First possession, you guys drive down, score. There was a big screen pass over to Cullman that really set up that first score. And y'all never looked back from there, really.
No, we didn't. Really proud of our defense. I'll kind of start with those guys, man. You know, proud of the performance as a whole that they turned in. I think Mars Hill had less than 200 yards in total offense. I think Mars Hill was 1 of 11 on third down. If we can keep up that clip or even close to that clip as far as getting off field on third down, then we're going to be in pretty good shape. So, and we've talked about it a lot. You know, a lot of those guys kind of first time out there. But really, I mean, they were so excited to play. I thought we did a good job of setting that edge. I think we did a better job of defending Mars Hill this year than what we did last year.
Right.
So as far as setting that edge on the buck sweep and the rocket toss and some of that stuff they try to do to get the ball on the perimeter, I thought we did a really good job on the edge. I thought the D-line hung in there. I thought we faded a little bit down the stretch. That's what I talked to the defense about yesterday, challenged them. I said we got to sustain, we got to finish better. And again, as a whole now, the performance they turned in I thought was really good. But that was my challenge to them. You know, got to sustain and finish a little better. But I thought those guys did a really good job, man, especially for a lot of them. The first time out there getting their feet wet in a varsity football game. I thought there was a lot of positive things, a lot of things we can build off of. Offensively, it was either really good or it was really bad. So that was my challenge to the offense. We've got to be more consistent.
Right.
We only had 5 third downs. We were 2 of 5 on third down, which is 40%, which is not the worst I've ever seen, but it's not phenomenal. But the fact that we only had 5 third downs speaks to how inconsistent we were. We either scored really quickly or we went 3 and out.
Right.
And we can't do that. You know, we can't just continue to put our defense back out there. We can't have drives where we only snap it 3 times. Now, scoring quickly is a good thing. You know,
right.
if you're going to score, no matter how quick or slowly you do it, finishing the drive with a touchdown is good. But got to be more consistent on the offensive side of it. I don't think we ran the football as effectively as what we needed to. So challenged our offensive line and our H-backs and our running backs to make sure that we do that. Because we got to be able to sustain drives and stay on the field. But Kevon, you know, he had a big night. I think he went for about $180. He got loose a couple of times. He's a good player, man.
Yeah.
He's electric, you know, so just getting it to him in space, he's a guy that can do something with it, you know, so there ain't no doubt about it. But there was some positives on offense, I think, but not. I don't think we performed to the level that unit is capable of performing at. And I think there's a lot left out there for us. We've got to be more consistent, and we got to get better at doing that and executing different parts of our offense. Special teams wise, Preston Reed was really good on PAT field goal. He kicked a couple balls up on the roof. Had to get the fire department out there yesterday to come get them. Appreciate those guys coming out and doing that. Punt, I think we punted 3 or 4 times in the football game. I thought that unit was sound. I think we netted about 37 a punt, which in high school football is just fine. Op time was around 1.85, which is really good. Anything under 2, you're doing okay in high school football. Did have the 1 snap that went over the punter's head. Got a delay on that. That was about the most fortunate delay of game that you've ever had. Yeah, I think God was smiling on the Vikes right there. But outside of that one, all of Colin's snaps were really good. They did fake a punt, right? We didn't force a kick. We got to be more disciplined with going and forcing the kick. With talking about our punt return unit, he got around the edge and then went and picked up a first down right there. So got to be more disciplined with forcing the kick. But all in all, I mean, for game 1, certainly things we got to work on and get better. But I think there was a lot of positives: defense, offense, special teams, you know, that we can build from. So proud of our kids, you know, especially the ones their first time out there, first time getting their feet wet on a Friday night. Proud of those guys, proud of the result they were able to get in the first one.
A couple of guys that really stood out to me, J.P. Hollis had a great game. This is a guy that's been a wide receiver, I guess, most of his career, and now on defensive backfield.
Yeah, he had been a wide out, you know, more often than not. And he still reps some of that with us. You may see him play a little receiver at some point during the year. But primarily a defensive back, really needed him and his skill set over on that side of the ball. He's a guy that's had some ups and downs with us. But I think he's ready to turn over a new leaf, and I think you saw some of that on Friday night. He's a long, athletic kid. I thought he did a good job, with what he asked him to do, especially at corner in that wing T scheme. I mean, you got to go tackle the ball. You got to be a force player. You got to go set an edge and go tackle the football.
Right.
Not typically against, I guess, conventional offenses, what a corner is asked to do, but against that offense, that's exactly what you got to do.
Right.
So I thought him and Andrew Ross both did a good job of setting that edge, pulling the trigger, turning the ball back, and getting it on the ground at times. So, yeah, I thought JP, I thought he did some good things Friday night.
And on defense, too, the defensive line, you mentioned them. They played really well. I think there were 4 or 5 sacks in the game.
4, I believe. Yeah, Luke Skelton, Malachi Gilmore, Jaquan Pratt, Braxton Houston, Jackson Pavlovic was out there at times. But really those 4, those are the main 4, Scale, Malachi, Braxton, and Jaquan Pratt. I thought they did a good job, man. I thought they played well. I thought they controlled the line of scrimmage for the most part. I thought they trusted their keys, did what we asked them to do. And, yeah, really, really pleased with the performance that those guys turned in for us, because every one of them, that was their first game ever starting on.
Right. Well, and you don't expect a defensive lineman to lead you in tackling most of the time, but Jaquan was right up there. He had, I think, 8 tackles in the game.
Yeah. Really happy for him, because that was really his first varsity experience ever. So,
right.
Happy for him. Still
I had to look up his name after the game. That's how new he is.
Yeah. So, again, a lot of work to do, man. A lot of getting better that we still got to do. But at this point, kind of pleased with their development, where they're at. And hopefully this will kind of springboard us throughout the rest of the year.
How about on offense? Talk about Spencer a little bit. I know he was a little off in the game, but he still had 270 yards and a couple touchdowns, and one that was dropped that was for sure would have put him over 300 with 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, we did have the big drop on the Denver ball, and I hate that for Preston. He'll catch it next time.
Right.
So Spencer, man, there's still so much more out there for him, and I think that speaks to the ability that boy has, man. So I think his stat line ended up being a little better than probably what he actually played. He was 12 and 19 for about 270, had 2 touchdowns. But you're right about that big drop. That would have put him well over 300 with 3 touchdowns. So didn't turn the ball over. That's a good thing. We've got to protect the football. The ball is the program. That's what I tell them all the time. It's the most important thing we have. We've got to protect the football. So didn't turn it over in the first game, so that's good. But again, I just think our level of execution, I think it can be better.
Right.
I think there's more, the potential of that group, the ability that they have. I think there's more there. So he was inconsistent at times. I mean, he missed a couple reads and missed a couple throws. Certainly not that he's going to be perfect, 100% accurate with every throw that he makes. That's the goal of what we try to achieve, but also being realistic. That's probably not going to be the case. So he certainly did some good things at times. But I think the ceiling that he has, I think there's more out there for him, and I think he can be better, and I think he will be.
Now, are you the quarterback coach?
I am not the quarterback coach. Coach Clint Crumpton coaches our quarterbacks. I still coach the offensive line, James.
Okay. Well, I saw some film last week.
I've heard about this.
You throwing the football?
Uh-huh.
And I didn't think you were the quarterback coach after seeing
No, I'm not the quarterback coach. I had heard, somebody had told me, I believe it was one of my coaches in one of your other interviews, that you called me a bad athlete.
See, I don't know if I called you a bad
athlete. I take a little bit of offense to that.
Well, I think you need to see the film.
Maybe I do. Maybe I need to run it back. Maybe I need to review the tape and find out exactly what was said.
And you let me know, though, what kind of athlete you look like after watching the film, too.
James, I don't have to watch the film to know what kind of athlete I look like.
No, I can't say I can do anything any better, though.
Well, yeah, the point of that is you're not too far off the mark with that statement about me being a bad athlete. So what James is talking about, for anybody who doesn't know, it was during the Coach Speaks segment. So we have a crossover period during practice where we take some of our starters on offense for about 10 plays or so and try to give them a full speed look give our defense a full speed look at what their offense is doing. So with Mars Hill, and again, that being wing T and some intricacies to that, sometimes I'll step in and play quarterback when it's wing T or option or anything.
When the ball doesn't have to be thrown.
When the ball doesn't have to be thrown very far. Yeah, but as far as the steps and the reads and who needs to be blocking who and how the quarterback's got to reverse out and fakes and all that kind of stuff. And I can typically operate that better than taking a younger kid and trying to teach him through that, but giving our defense a look at it. So
I got you.
Anyway, throwing the waggle pass, that ball in the flat. Again, I'd have to review the tape to see exactly what kind of ball it was.
I will admit the line wasn't helping you out.
Well,
there's a lot
gotta
of
get
pressure
them
on
coached up. Sure,
Right.
Gotta
There's
get
a lot
them
of pressure
coached
on
up.
you.
Got to have some poise in the pocket. Got to stand in there and deliver the football.
Right.
Yeah, we always have a good time during that little period.
And that's
right
one
there,
thing I do like about y'all's practices, being out there some and see y'all have fun.
You got to.
Yeah.
You got to have fun, man. And I think we've talked about this before, and I talked to my team about that. There's a lot of work that's got to be done, and there's got to be a serious nature to how you go about your business. But the other side of that coin is you better enjoy what you're doing, man. If you don't have some passion, some joy around the people that you're around and getting to go out and play this game, because ultimately, and this is a perspective thing, I'm big on your perspective. There's a lot of people that either don't or never did have the opportunity to play football. Right. And these guys do. They have the opportunity to go over and play football. On Friday night, when we kick in lights on, there's a lot of people that would want to trade places with them, and the opportunity that they have. So don't lose sight of that, man. Be grateful for that. Enjoy what you're doing, and then come work your tail off as hard as you can. That's kind of how we'd like to go about things.
Well, you pick up the win. You hold Mars Hill to 6 points, which I don't know if anybody holds Mars Hill to 6 points very often.
No, they set records for points last year. And they had, as far as the senior class they had last year that graduated, there was a lot of really fine football players, that have since moved on. Talked to Coach Higgins about his son, Payton Higgins, who was number 21 last year.
Right.
I believe he's getting some reps with the ones at Troy right now. So he was a very good football player. And there's others. I mean, he has others, coming back, but I think he's kind of maybe down a little bit from the team that he had.
Right. Well, let's not talk about that,
year.
though.
Well, no. I mean, it's just being realistic. But they did. I mean, they set records for points last year. I mean,
and won a state championship.
Everybody. Yeah, they did. Yeah, rattled off 14 in a row.
Right.
After that first game. So really good program, man. He does a really good job with that offense. So certainly pleased with the result we got against those guys.
All right, looking forward this week. Maybe the biggest game, what most people in Jasper would consider the biggest game, you got Cullman coming to town. And that's going to be a rocking atmosphere.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it, man. Jasper, Cullman. That's a tremendous rivalry for high school football. And it's a big game. And we're going to embrace the fact that it's a big game. That's what I told the guys yesterday. A big part of maturity is understanding the situation that you're in. You need to understand what Jasper Cullman means to your school system and your community and everybody involved. And Cullman is a very good football team, as they always are. They played Grissom last week. They beat Grissom 23-0. Shut those guys out. So very strong on defense, sound on defense, as they always are, man. They're going to give us a lot of different looks up front. They're going to mix fronts. They're going to take gaps and, different blitzes, getting hands to the box. A lot of different looks, a lot of different things we got to be prepared for, as far as what their defense gives us. Them offensively similar to Mars Hill, not completely the same, but similar. In a lot of ways, they'll play with some wing backs, and there'll be some wing T type principles. There'll be some option principles built in there, but they're going to put more hats, to the box, when they've got the ball, and they'll give you some one-on-one matchups out there on the outside. So got to stop the run. That's what they're going to do. They're going to test you up the middle, and if they have good success there, then they'll be content to just stay right there. So we got to stop the run, and then when they test us on the outside, we got to be able to come up with a play, because it's going to be some one-on-one matchups out there.
Well, we always talk about how tough the schedule is, but how good is it to have these two teams back-to-back, because they are kind of similar?
That was fortunate, yeah. As far as style of offense, to have 2 weeks back-to-back going against that style, I think that was very fortunate, as far as the scheduling of that. So I didn't really have anything to do with that. The schedule was kind of gifted to me, when I got the job. I've scheduled 1 game since I've been the head football coach here, and that was Vesper City.
Right.
Everything else was already kind of laid out when I took the job. But that is what it is. But it was fortunate to have those 2 back-to-back right there. Yeah.
Well, what does your team need to do as far as offense, defense? I know you said stop the run.
Yep, definitely.
What about offensively?
We got to be more consistent. We've got to execute. Our consistency has to improve from week 1. We've got to find a way to be more effective running the football, more effective than we were against Mars Hill, because we got to stay on the field. We can't afford to go 3 and out and then give it right back to them with that ball control style that they have. So we got to run the football more effectively. We got to stay on the field. On third down, we got to execute at a higher level. When our shots are there, like when we have an opportunity to make a play, we got to do that. We can't have drops and we can't have missed blocks and things like that. When there's an opportunity for us to have a big play, we have got to connect. All 11 have got to be doing their job, and that's got to happen. So, again, can't turn the ball over. So all those things, man, it's all the things, the same things that won football games 50 years ago still win football games now. Same things that lost them back in still lose football games now. You can't turn the ball over. You got to protect the ball. You got to be good on third third down, you got to stay on the field. And when you get in the red zone, you got to score the ball.
Right.
And then on the other side of that, the defense is the same way. Get your tail off the field on third down, bow your neck in the red zone, and then we got to be sound in the kicking game. You know, we can't let them steal a possession or put ourselves in a bad field position spot because of a miscue in the kicking game. So got to be sound in the kicking game, protect the ball, stay on the field, execute at a high level, get off the field, tackle the football. I mean, that's what it is.
When you mention the running game, a lot of time, most of the time, your offenses have been very even as far as running pass.
Yeah.
This past game, running game was a little down. I think the leading rusher had just 30 yards or so.
Yeah, we ran it for less than 100 yards.
Yeah.
As a whole, we didn't run it nearly as effective as we have to. So that's kind of my mindset, I guess, and philosophy. The way I've kind of always gone about offense is being balanced. I think the more balanced that you are, then the more difficult you are to defend. And balance in a real way, right? Practical balance. It's very easy to call just as many runs as you do passes, and then sit there and beat your chest and talk about how balanced you are. Practical balance, real balance, is being able to execute whatever phase of your offense you need to execute to go be successful, right? So if they're going to stack the box, we got to be able to throw and catch the football. Right? If they're going to get hats away from the box, right, and leave them safeties on the hash, and the box count is right, meaning the number of hats we have in the box is equal to the numbers of hats they have in the box, then we got to put a hat on a hat and go run the football. Right. That's real balance, is being able to execute whatever phase of your offense that you need to go and be successful. Ultimately, you know, we would like to be pretty even, you know, as far as run to pass attempts, and pretty even as far as run to pass yards. So I think in 2018, my first year here as the offensive coordinator, for the whole season, which we had, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head exactly how many yards we had on offense, but for the entire year, we were within 100 yards.
Right.
Rush yards and pass yards were within about 100 yards of each other. And then we didn't snap it a ton, going back to Mars Hill. Then we only snapped it about 40 times.
Right.
We ran it 21 times and threw it 19 times. So pretty close to what you want to end up being. But again, it goes back to whatever phase of your offense that the defense dictates you need to execute. That's what you got to do.
How about health-wise coming in this game? I know you had one big injury that kept a player off the field in the first game. It seemed like a couple of guys were on the sideline. So how was that looking?
It's okay. So the one that I'm pretty sure you're talking about, he's probable, I would say probable, maybe questionable for Friday. Game time decision, I guess. We'll see where that's at. So we're a little bit nicked up. Nothing crazy. Hopefully we'll get a couple guys that were out back. But, you know, I mean, it's football, and that's kind of what it is this time of year. So nothing crazy.
How big is it to have this game at home this year instead of having to go to Cullman?
Yeah, I think it's huge, man. And that was such a crazy deal last year. Supposed to play them on Friday night. Got the call around lunchtime. They had that tornado warning over there, so then we had to move it to Saturday morning at 11. So, you know, and people don't really understand, when that happens at lunch on a Friday, all of the moving pieces that have to change for you to get your football team up there on Saturday morning at 11, from buses and bus drivers and pregame meal that was being prepared that's now got to be changed. And now your kids are eating breakfast, so you're trying to change the menu and then make sure that those things are available to eat. I mean, all of those things that have to change. So that was a unique situation that we were in last year. But to have this game at home, you know, at our place in front of our people, big rivalry game, we couldn't ask for any more.
Y'all going to pack the place out.
I would imagine so.
And I'm sure Cullman's going to bring a huge crowd, too.
I would certainly imagine that they will. It ought to be a very electric atmosphere for high school football. And that's exciting, man. I mean, it really is. You know, you ought to want to play and coach in football games like that, man. That's why we do what we do.
What do you need out of the crowd?
I need a lot of them there. I need a lot of noise. Our student section was back in full force last Friday, which was great. Because, you know, last year we didn't have all that with COVID and everything. There wasn't a student section. And the line judge on our side had made a call. It could have went either way. It was a bang call, right? But the call didn't go our way, and he's down there in front of the student section, and they're letting him hear about it.
Right, yeah.
And that was great. I was like, this is what needs to happen. Like, this is what needs to happen in high school football, right? He made a call that could have went our way, probably, but didn't, and the student section is letting him hear about it. And you didn't have that last year.
Right.
You know, you didn't have that element. So playing at home has got to be an advantage in front of your home crowd. So that's all of our people, our community, and then our student section need those guys out in full force, because the players, they sense the emotion and the energy of that. When the momentum shifts in a game and your crowd starts to get behind you, I don't care what anybody says, that energy matters throughout the course of the football game. So having it at home, that's got to be an advantage for us.
Well, and even the band, like last year, half the games you didn't have the band at the game. Right. The band plays a big role in that momentum a lot of times.
There's no doubt, man, having your band of knowing when to play and when not to play and being louder when their offense is on the field. If you can affect their procedure, affect the snap count, I mean, any of those things, man, they add up over the course of a football game. So it certainly matters.
Well, Coach, I want you to go back and check that film we were talking about.
I'm going to have to look at that, James.
I want you to see what I said, because I'm not sure what I said, honestly. I was tired. I was tired when I said that.
I think this has got you jarred up a little bit, James. And get you in the jar right here.
But I want you to go back and check that out before next week, and we may have to talk about it again.
We may have to revisit it. I think really more than anything else, I'm a little worried that you don't have anything better to talk about than my athleticism.
Well, that's
because we all know that ain't what are we talking about here, James?
With that being said, I'm a little worried that your assistant coaches are so worried about what I got to say.
That's fair. That's fair. I should tell them to go watch some film and stop being worried about what James is saying.
Right, exactly.
That's probably fair.
Well, all right, Coach. Until next week, we want to tell everybody come out and support the Vikings this Friday.
Yes, need a big crowd. Get your tickets early. Right, they'll be on GoFan. That link will be posted through the school's website, all the football social media. So get those early. There will be a cash gate. You can buy tickets at the gate. We'd like for you to get them early if you can, but if you can't, there'll be a cash gate. So need a big crowd. It's a big game. Go Vikes!
Be there Friday night. Go Vikes. We'll see you next week.